Welcome to the Men's Collective podcast. In this space, we keep the conversations real, inspiring, and challenging you to become the man you are destined to be. Your family needs you to be better. Your friends need you to be better. We need you to be better. We are your hosts, the Average Joes. Gentlemen, welcome to the Men's Collective podcast. We are the Average Joes. So good to be back with another episode. Here with some very good friends of mine, Mikie, Chrisso, and Jamie. Good to have you, lads.
Hello,
boys.
Gents.
This is the first time we've been together as a panel.
It is, yep.
We've kind of been spread over, but this is us. I'm looking forward to it. You all seem to be... Actually, you guys would be like three of my closest mates at the moment.
Didn't you say that last week?
I say it to every panel that comes I've got to make you feel welcome. And then you can go away and say what you like. No, but really good to have you guys. I've been looking forward to this one. I remember putting some notes together for this topic especially. And when I was going through who would have on the panel, I'm going, this is going to be good. I was saying to Lisa today, I'm looking forward to it because it's, I think we're going to have a great conversation around this topic. So the topic being this week, permission to put yourself first, which I know is a touchy subject for men. And look, today we are tackling a tricky but interesting and important topic. One that many of us struggle with as men. As partners, parents, or simply just as men, society does often expect us to put others first. Why is that? When you're seen as a provider and a protector, there's a lot of pressure to live up to the idea that you're strong, tough, and that your primary role is to take care of everybody else. The message is clear. Make sure everyone else is okay first, and only then, if there's anything left, take care of yourself. We've all been there. Some of us might still be in that mindset. They're putting everybody else's needs before our own mindset. On the surface, it does seem noble. After all, what good man doesn't want the best for his family and friends? But here's the question. How can you give your best if you yourself are not at your best? This isn't about striving for perfection in everything you do, but it is about getting your priorities in the correct order. Let me illustrate this a little better. Many of you know that I do travel by plane frequently for work. And at the beginning of every flight, I have to sit down and listen to all the safety instructions. They go over all the seatbelts, the exits, and so on. But there's this one point they always emphasise, which is in case of emergency, an oxygen mask will appear. Place the mask on yourself before assisting others. The word before is crucial. We all know that if you're not getting oxygen, you won't survive. In a crisis, our instinct as men is to often make sure our loved ones are safe first. It feels like the right thing to do is to put others first. But the reality is you can't help others if you're running on empty. If you want the best outcome, you need to prioritise yourself first, plain and simple. Get your own mask on, secure your own oxygen, and then and only then you'll be in the position to help those that you care about. If you don't, you might save one person if you're lucky, but you'll be out of the game yourself. Prioritising you is essential for everybody else's survival. Is it selfish? How do we do it? What does it look like? Am I doing it right? Gentlemen, let's dive in. Should men put themselves first? We'll go around quickly first. Mike, should men put themselves first?
Mate, the jury's out for me. I'm completely undecided at this stage.
Undecided for Mikie.
Yep. I've been pondering it all week.
Chrisso, should men put themselves first?
In a sense, they should, yes.
Jamie?
I'm going to say yes, 100%. Lock it in, Eddie.
Okay, a bit of a mixed panel today. This is good.
Yep.
Right, Mike, I'm going to start with you then. What does it look like for a man to put himself first?
Well, that's why I'm undecided. I honestly am not that sure. From a guy that he probably feels like he, in that emergency situation, I feel like I woke up halfway through the emergency. So I missed the bit where it's like, put your mask on first. Everyone else is doing it, so you want to go and help.
So you're like me, you sleep through the emergency announcements.
100%.
Headphones on, head back. Had a big week.
3 bourbons in, yeah.
It is an interesting question though when you look at it, because like I explained there at the start, it's a daunting thing. It does seem noble for a man to put themselves first, but then when you do question it, some of us, again, like both Chrisso and Jamie, have both said, yes, it's important and we should. But what does it look like? Like, I actually don't know what it looks like. I've gone through and written some notes down, but what does it look like? Chrisso, thoughts?
Oh, look, I mean, I think it looks a bit like, self-love. Like you've got to look after yourself in the sense that, you need to, your mindset, and you need to be fit and healthy in your life and feel good about yourself. And, if you're in that level of acceptance of who you are and how you feel, I think you're going to be a better man and a better father and a better partner to your wife or whoever it may be. So I think, being kind to yourself is super important for a man.
Jamie, what does it look like?
Well, I brought it up before on the podcast. Was that it wasn't until after my divorce that I came to this realization, because I was the typical Mr. Nice Guy, do anything for everyone, put everyone else first, or all that sort of stuff, and it wasn't until I realized that, do I want Kobe to copy the same things that I'm doing right now, that it actually made me go, no, I do need to actually look after my health better. I do need to actually, heal those wounds and actually have a look at inside about, what's making me tick and why relationships don't work, or why I do typical things and all that sort of stuff. Because, the first rule of leadership is lead yourself first. You know what I mean? So you've got to get your own shit in order first before you can actually, and it's also hypocritical too, to sit there and give people advice or tell people what to do when you're not actually doing what you say you're going to be doing. So until you give yourself permission to actually become that person and lead by example rather than sort of telling people, you know what I mean, then just assuming the role of the leader in your family, then...
I mean, I've been through some hard times in like family stuff, like breakups and, meeting bringing new people into the family. And I know I definitely, when I was at my worst, I was a terrible father. I wasn't, there for my kids as much as I should, because I was feeling like shit. I'd been through a lot. So there lies the proof. Like if you're not in a good place yourself, you're definitely not putting out the best version of yourself. That's for sure. I wanted to be but I knew that I was in a rut, and it took months of just sort of self-reflection and getting myself, focusing on my fitness and, getting out there and meeting new people and actually, being happy again before I kind of realised, shit, I really need to start focus on being a father again.
Yep. Well, think about, though, if you just keep give, and everyone around you is taking, what happens to you?
That's right, yeah. If you just keep pouring out of your own cup, eventually your cup's empty.
Yeah. And right now, like a massive thing for a lot of business owners is that they're burnt out. You know what I mean? They go on retreats and they're like, oh, I'm burnt out. I need to have 2 weeks off or whatever. But if you actually just sat and looked after yourself, you know what I mean, in moderation, then you won't need to do that.
So how do you prioritise that, though, in the day-to-days of life when everyone's needs their pound of you, as it were? They need you to do this, you got to do that. You got kids to get to school, you got the business to run. How do you prioritise that time?
You say no. No is the most powerful word that you can learn. So, and it's the hardest thing for the nice guy to say. Yeah.
Which could be a simple way in how you can identify one within yourself or two in somebody else. Is that if you're a yes man, you literally have given away a telltale sign that this is a man that doesn't put himself first. Because if you're, and I put myself in this position all the time. I'm always questioning myself, am I a yes man? Because you fall into the trap of wanting the best for everybody else, wanting to give your best to everybody else. And it's not that I've ever gotten to the point where I'm exhausted or tired of anything like that, because to some point it's a little bit energizing for me. But when I do ask myself, am I a yes man, I find myself saying yes way more than I should. And then I find, if anything, I actually can't do what I've said yes to, and end up letting the person down, which is the thing I didn't want to do. So I end up, it's like this cycle that I've wanted this outcome, so I've become someone that I'm not, and then not had the outcome anyway, and you end up looking like an idiot. I got this. It's funny that you said this before, Jamie, about when we first started to put together the podcast, and we were toying around times. And this only just came to mind when you said it before. When we started to toy around times of when we'll do the recording, and I was saying to you, hey, I think right across the board, a good time for everybody would be Saturday mornings. And your first response to me was, no, that's my gym time that I go to with my partner, Anna. Like, we go to the gym that time, and that's what we do. And part of me then was waiting for but let me have a chat with her and see what she says. But you didn't do that, which was impressive, because that said to me, this guy prioritises himself because this is what he does, and he's not going to change it because that's him prioritising himself. Mike and I were having a coffee. I think it was yesterday or might have been the day before. We had a coffee and was saying how what prioritising yourself looks like, because Lisa says to me, "Oh, you seem to have a lot of coffees with people, right?" Which I do. I'm not saying I don't, but I was saying to her, "Yeah, I do. I do seem to pop out and see, because look, people are my life. I enjoy people, and going out to have coffees with people. Yes, it is quite a big part of my life, but just because I go and have coffee with people, that's not me prioritising myself. That's me slotting into when I'm free. Because Mike will send me a text message later night and go, "Hey, I'm in the area tomorrow morning. You're free at about, 7:30 or 6:30 or something." And I'll go, "Yeah, not a problem. I can meet up then." That's not me prioritising myself. That's just me saying yes because I'm available.
See, I thought that was me prioritising myself.
Yeah.
Going, quick, I've got half an hour. Let's do it.
But it's not so.
Yeah.
And that's what Mike and I was saying. Prioritising yourself looks entirely different, although it could still involve coffee. Prioritising yourself is every Thursday morning at 8:30 we have coffee, and that's what we do. That's setting aside a time block that locks in. It requires a discipline, and you make that happen. So even though the outcome's the same, you're having coffee with somebody, the fact that it's all haphazard in the air and there's no timetable to it, that doesn't mean you're prioritising yourself. And I think this is where men, especially myself, this is where men can get confused, is that we slot in when we're available, when we have free time, or I've got half an hour free here, so I'll then go and do something for myself. That's just being nice to yourself. That's not prioritising yourself. Prioritising yourself is, Chrisso, what I've seen you do, and you mentioned before about looking after your health. That's one thing I can say about you since the day I've met you. You have always had a discipline, because we'd be texting late at night and you'd be like, "Right, I'm off to bed," and it's 8:30. I'm like, "Why the hell are you going to bed at 8:30? It's like, "I've got CrossFit at 4 a.m. And I'm like, who the hell gets up at 4 a.m. to go to CrossFit? It's a man that prioritises himself.
Yeah, and like that's what I was going to say. Like you said, Mikey, about everyone, the everyday guy that's busy and that can't find the time. That's why I prioritise myself at 4 a.m, because no one's around to harass me. That's my hour and a half or 2 hours of no phone calls, no one relying on me, no one needs anything from me. Everyone's still asleep. I go and do it then, and then that way, when everyone starts waking up, I'm there for them. I'm ready to go. I'm getting school lunches ready. I've already done my bit. I'm happy. My cup's full. I'm ready to roll, and that just works for me. But it might not work for someone else.
Yeah. I've got a mate down in Sydney, runs a plumbing company as well. He's got about 70 staff, and he blocks out his phone from 10:30 till 11:30, 3 days a week, and it's because he goes to the gym at 10:30 to 11:30, 3 days a week. And I'm like, "Mate, how the hell can you turn your phone off and not think about it and go to the gym?" He's like, "Mate, like you have to. You have to do it. I lock it in, and that's me looking after me." And it's a mind battle for myself, because I don't do it. I am literally a victim in too much of a Mr. Nice Guy and just saying yes and putting everyone first. And this topic is speaking to me more than it is me speaking out. I tell you.
If someone was to ask me who would fit the picture of what we're talking about here, that the yes man, the Mr. Nice Guy, the guy that puts everyone first, I'd look
Mikie.
straight at you. I don't know Mikey's life enough to know, but I know yours, and I know you definitely do. And I think I have told you in the past a few times, mate, you've got to start like thinking about Wayno. And I have said that a few times. I've said, mate, you need to stop thinking about everyone else and start thinking about Wayno for a change. And like you do it out of love, but sometimes I think you give so much, and I've just seen so many the wrong people just do the wrong thing by you, just because you're so nice, and you've gone out of your way, and you've given them so much, and they've just shat on you.
I definitely agree with Chris with the gym and stuff like that, but also I find my most productive time, or where I'm most switched on, is in the morning as well too. So so you go to the gym, and then afterwards, that's my best time to like create something or think about something or solve problems and do that sort of stuff. Yet a lot of people are straight into their emails or worrying about something else. So also prioritizing yourself is actually utilizing the best time for what's going to be best.
That's a really good thought
for you. Yeah, Because, when I am worn out and when I'm tired at the end of the night, that's easy to deal with emails. Like, it's not going to make a massive difference in my life whether I'm going to email someone or, do you know what I mean? Like, but actually thinking about how we're going to problem solve something, or how do I get around this, or how do I do that, or, what do I want to learn? That's also really important to prioritize yourself as well.
Yeah. I think one of the biggest things to look at too is when you look at, it's even in the title of the topic, permission to put yourself first. You can actually look at that. Well, you need to look at that in two ways. One, getting yourself to put yourself first. But the first thing is giving yourself permission to put yourself first. And I think that's where the battle is first in your mind. It's that mindset of convincing yourself that it is okay. Because that is my battle. My battle is convincing myself that it's okay. Because I keep telling myself it's not. Oh, you should be there. You should be doing this and whatever for everybody else. And I find it with Lisa, because she goes to Pilates, I think it's 3 or 4 times a week. And it's, from 9 till 10. Whereas I find, because her and I have had this conversation many times where the workday will come and go, but it's after the workday, the typical workday, for us, from 7 till say 4:30ish, it seems to be that after the typical workday is over is when I really, really switch into work gear and I start to get on top of emails and quotes and things like that. And Lisa will say, like, where are you? Like, you I can tell that you're not here because you're, and I'm like, but my mindset throughout the day is problem solve mode, taking calls and just like staying in problem solve mode. And then when I know that part of it's over, I then pick up on everything else. And I think to myself, it's the mindset first to give yourself permission to say, you need to be okay with this. You need to be okay that you are. And I'm literally speaking to myself as I say this, and I think this is important for everybody to hear that's listening. It comes down to you telling yourself that you're worth it, that you convincing yourself that you are worth giving yourself time. And it's, it's actually, I'm literally.
End of podcast, done.
Yeah. well,
I got a lot out of this, lads. I don't know if you got a lot out of it.
I'm reading a book called Anxious Attachment at the moment, and it talks about attachment styles. So there's people that are anxiously attached, and there's on the other side of the spectrum, there's people that are detached. So basically the way they learn to cope with stuff when they were younger is that someone who's anxiously attached will look for more love. So they'll keep giving more and more and more and try to do more for people. So, and that's how they dealt with not getting with what they need. So their mindset was, if I give more, then maybe I'll have love. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's also people who are detached. The way they dealt with it was that I can't rely on anyone else. Yeah. And I'm just going to sort of close down those emotions. And if it gets too scary, then I can walk away and I can detach myself from that situation. Yeah. And then, so it's a whole scale. And if you're in the middle, what's the word? It's, you're emotionally sound, or you're like, anyway, can't remember it. So I'll finish the book and I'll know. But there was something that they said was that, each of them though are trying to control others so they don't feel the pain. So they're actually, and what that is actually becoming codependent on your own happiness or not feeling that pain. So, it's
interesting.
Yeah. So, and it sort of, it really struck a chord for me because I was like, they're just trying to protect themselves. So, so when I see, as a man, you should be the protector, the provider, and the leader of your family. So that's what I sort of base my sort of manhood model on. But, if you can't protect yourself, how are you going to be the protector for other people?
Well, raises the question: who is protecting the man?
Well, I think you've got to do it yourself.
There you go.
That's a really,
and that's why you've got to be able to love yourself. That's why you've got to actually look at yourself, because that's one of the things where you go through that self-love journey where you go, you know what, I'm okay with who I am. I'm a good person, and I deserve to be able to put myself first. And I think it's easier when you're single because, you know what I mean? It is you and you can work on yourself and you can do that sort of stuff. But also if your partner would actually turn around and say, you know, and that's why I am really lucky with Anna because her whole thing is that we need to make each other better. That's the goal of this, yeah? And that makes it easier for me to go, yeah, absolutely. I am going to organise, you know, a trip for the boys to go watch the football, or I am going to go watch the UFC with other mates, and I am going to go to the gym in the mornings, and you know that sort of stuff. So I think that having that supportive partner who actually wants you to put yourself first can also be like a massive difference as well too.
Yeah, definitely.
I think you've really exposed something there that a lot of people don't think of, and that is, do you think our partners actually deep down want us to prioritise ourselves? Because I've had this conversation with Lisa many times, right? And I've had this conversation with Chris many times too. But I've been up and down on yo-yo style diets for years and years. I'm always trying something new and things like that. And having this conversation with Lisa about, you know, when she'll say, "Oh, you know, are you trying something new now?" Yeah, I'm starting this new diet, and I'm enjoying this, I'm enjoying that. And then she'll say something on the lines of, "Well, I'm glad because like we want you around for a long time. Like I want you in our lives for a long time. I don't want to lose you early, right?" And I think that was actually her saying, "I'm actually, as your wife, not only giving you permission, but actually pushing you and encouraging you to actually prioritize yourself a bit." Because I think men, it comes across some way because we've talked about already, being the protector, the provider, and the leader. There's a sense of guilt or there's a sense of shame that comes along with it. Oh no, I shouldn't be. I shouldn't be thinking of myself first. I need to be thinking of the wife, and I need to be thinking of the kids, and I need to be thinking of all this stuff. So to hear her say it has made me think, I wonder if that's right across the board. I wonder if deep down, if we sat back for a moment and went, I wonder if my partner actually wants me to prioritise myself and wants me to think about myself and give myself time.
I think they do.
Do you think it gets lost in the translation a little bit? Like usually you'll get 10 jobs and somewhere in there she might be encouraging you to do something for yourself. Which one do I do?
I didn't know where you were going with that.
Oh,
yeah, like,
you know, the Lord hasn't mowed yet. Yeah.
yeah. Like do something for yourself, but before you do, can you just go and, you know, fix that garage that you said you were going to do last year?
Give yourself an hour to yourself. Jump on the mower and just...
Yeah. I heard mowing is really good fitness. No.
Yeah.
Every time I paint, my mind just goes into elsewhere. That wall needs a paint. Have some time to yourself.
So I was listening to Jordan Peterson the other day, and it was a really interesting stat where he was talking about if you took your animal to the vet and they gave it, like said, "Oh, it needs this medicine to be okay," nearly every single person goes out and buys the medicine, gives the medicine to the dog, and cats are okay too. Dogs are better, and make sure that it actually takes it correctly. Do you know what I mean? And I'm sure we've all been there with that fight where the dog won't take that bloody pill and you're trying to put it in meat and cheese and, you know, all the rest of it. But we make it happen, yeah? What he said, though, was that if you go to the doctor and they actually tell you to take something, 50% of those people will go get it and only 30% of them will actually take the full course and take it the way that it's supposed to. And that just blew my mind.
Mate, this literally happened to me just yesterday. And it got exposed today because Lisa found this booklet. And I was actually on the phone to Mike yesterday afternoon because I'd pulled into this car park. So I've been, you know, sleeping at night times, I get up really, really early, right? So I struggle to sleep. So what I do, I'll flick through my phone early in the mornings for a couple of hours. And a lot of the recent stuff coming up on my TikTok feed is these chiropractors doing these like back cracks and neck cracks on people, and you see these guys lying down a bed, you know, can't move his neck for 20 years. You see this guy grabbing it and like giving it like 30,000 cracks, and then all of a sudden he's going, and he's moving around. And just out of interest, I'm going, you know what, I'm going to go see a chiropractor and just get him to do a whole bunch of these like cracks and whatever and see just what it feels like and, you know, experience that whole, I feel great, whatever. So one of those early 3 a.m. thoughts again, where I just jumped online and found the closest chiropractor and just booked myself a session. Anyway, so I've gone there 2 days ago. No idea what I was doing. And I've gone in there and he's like, oh, so why are you here? You got any soreness and whatever? I'm like, no, I just seen a couple of videos on TikTok of a few back cracks and just thought, see if it loosens me up. So anyway, sent me for x-rays and had to see him again then yesterday. So back-to-back days. So I went and saw him yesterday. Sat down, he's showing me the x-rays. He goes, right. He goes, oh, so you've got, your neck's too straight here. It needs to be better here, and your posture here and your back. So I've created this plan for you that's going to go for 4 months, and it's going to cost you $1,500.
What did I say to you right before you went to that appointment?
It did.
I'm like, you're about to get sold timeshare by a chiropractor, mate.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's what happened. He gives me this booklet of this 4-month plan and a $1,500 or $1,800 payment thing on, this is what we're going to do. I'm like, mate, that sounds great. Yeah, cool. I've walked out and I've put the book on top of the bin at home. And I just found the book. What's this? I said, just some $1,800 back straightening, cracking thing that he's trying to sell me. She's like, well, if you need it, go do it. I'm literally doing what you say. Like, if it was my dog, mate, Teddy, get him in there. If he needs an operation, $5,000, mate, fix him. But $1,800 it's all good. I'll walk around with a bad posture and I'll walk around. I've got a sore back just sitting here now. But it's funny, you don't give yourself. It's like we've devalued ourselves, or we just don't see ourselves as valuable to give ourselves any kind of self-love. Love yourself. Look after yourself. Well, I don't anyway. This is revealing for me. Like I've said, it's
a good analogy. Now that you've said that, I realise that I do it a lot. You go to the doctors and I'm one of the culprits. Like I've not got the medicine. I've just gone, no, I'll be right. Or I've had many issues with my knees and stuff like that. Redo the ACL, blew my ACL out again. I'm not going to go and get it done again. I'll just leave it. Every now and then it gives way on me. I'm like, I just don't want to go through it again. But if that, like I said, if that was my dog, you're going straight. Get him in there.
You're in, mate.
But it's different when it's for someone else, though, right? Because
but this is the thing.
You don't have to go through that process. Like if your dog's going to go for an operation, you drop the dog off and he gets an operation and you come back. If you get the operation, you've got to do all the prep for it, sit through that, do the other side of it. So there's...
But if it was your partner, right? If it was Pip, right? Oh, they've told me I've got this. You would say, go get it done. But when it's us, we're like, shelve it. So I think this is where it starts with the mindset. It starts with giving yourself permission to love yourself enough to go look after yourself.
Well, so how do you catch yourself doing that? Like, practically speaking, half this panel doesn't put themselves first. How do we actually go about doing that? Is it an accountability thing? Like, do you, like we were saying, if you were on an aeroplane and the mask dropped down, there would be staff on the plane coming through making sure you did it.
Well, I think personally it's making sure because we all make those commitments in our head, don't we? Like, we'll go to the gym or we'll go do this and that. But it's keeping those promises to yourself. If you're not keeping those promises to yourself, then that's a clear sign that you're not putting yourself first.
Well, I literally said to a mate, we're like, every Wednesday we're going to go to the range, we're going to book this session out, and that's the end of it. Within 3 weeks, both of us had flaked out, and we haven't been back since.
So accountability does come into it.
And it's actually locked in my diaries. In the work schedule, I booked it in as a job, and I push it to every Wednesday. And then every week comes around, and I push it to the next one.
You just got to do it.
We do that all the time, though, don't we? We bump it back. We're okay with bumping things back in our lives.
And what you're saying to yourself is, I'm not important enough to do that. Mm-hmm. So whatever you fill it with is more important than something that's going to make you happy.
I think when you look at it too, because going back to the whole selfishness thing, like part of you, most of you, I'm guessing, most of you go, it's seen as selfish if we put ourselves first, because there's so many, there's phrases that get thrown around of, looking after number one again, mate, or, looking after yourself. So we're afraid of ever having that attached to us because it tarnishes, So when you think of what it means to be selfish, and that being the reason as to why we don't, right? Let's go back to that analogy of in the plane with the mask drop down, right? I've got a wife and 4 kids. So everywhere we go when we travel, there's 6 of us, right? Now, if those masks were to drop down and instinctively I would kick in of like, okay, look after the wife and kids. If I'm running out of air and I'm going around not wanting to be selfish, I'd be wanting to put the masks on them first, right? But how many would I get through before I actually lost oxygen? 3? Which means I'd lose 2. But if I did put oxygen on myself first, how many would I get to? Or 5? So
Would
it's
you, though?
actually...
Would you? Because that's what you're telling yourself in the moment is you're going,
Yeah, but if you've got air, you'd make it. Like if I've pulled a mask and I've got air, I can now turn around and go, right, I'm locked in, I'm safe, I'm going to make it. Boom, 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 boom.
in that situation, if there's 6 people that need oxygen and it takes X amount of time to get through, if you're going to lose one, if you're going to lose yourself by doing everyone first, you're going to lose someone in that by doing yourself first.
Oh, you've really thrown a spanner in it now, Mike.
But that's maybe that's where it goes.
Unless the second person that you help helps the next person.
Wow, I hadn't thought of that.
Look at this.
That's actually really good.
Yeah. I'm waiting for the kids to say, so who would you do first, Dad?
Actually,
because we all picked, didn't we?
well, one of my sons does the editing on this podcast, so I better make sure I choose him first. So we'll go through priorities. But that's actually...
you do wonder, though, like in the actual moment, whether all that would just go out the window and you would just be in survival mode.
But this is literally what we're exposed in today, is that instinctively we don't think of ourselves. Instinctively we do think of others.
Yeah. So in the moment, with adrenaline pumping through your veins, I think instinctively we would just be going straight for the kids, straight for the wife.
Which, and this is what we're saying though, if we did that, then instinctively we run the risk of losing. Because if you do focus on everybody else, you run out. Well, so it's like the opposite of being selfish. If you don't want to lose them, you actually have to do yourself first. But instinct says do them first, which in turn then you don't survive. And it's like, what do they call it, an oxymoron. It's like it literally plays on itself.
Yeah, but I suppose when you look, like we're all here, we've got wives, we've got kids, we've got good mates, community, your tribe. When you look at that, your family's an extension of you. So by putting them first, even in that situation, are you by default somehow putting they're part of you? And that's where I struggle with this whole topic. I'm going, well, they're kind of me. The wife, the kids, it's me. It's what makes me happy.
Well, I think though that, because you brought it up, right? If you don't look after your health, you're actually going to spend less time with them. So,
That's right, yeah.
You know, if all you do is things for other people and push down your wants and needs, are you really going to be as happy as you possibly can be in this life? Or are you going to put a facade on in front of your kids? You know, what's going to be a better dad? The person who is actually genuinely happy, or the person who's actually putting on a facade because they're just trying to act happy? You know, I think we've all been around people that something's going on and they won't tell you about it. Like, you know what I mean? And you're just like, it just ruins the whole situation. But if people are like open, having a good time and life is good, it's so easy to have a good time with those people.
Yeah.
You know? So sometimes we're actually taking more for that short term. Well, I guess that's the way I look at it. It's short term sort of hard work or short term sacrifice. So for a longer term gain. So
well, let's break it down for you, Mikey. Like, if you say, you know, you're not putting yourself first, what does putting yourself first look like? What aren't you getting in your life? And then figure out, okay, this is what I need, this is what I want, and then try and figure out, work backwards from there and try and fit it in your life somehow. You know, but do you even know what that looks like for you?
Honestly, no.
Well, there's your problem.
Yeah.
You know what? I think the answer to get to that point is to first break down what makes up a man, right? If you look at the makeup of man, you've got there's the physical, there's the mental, and there's the spiritual. So in those three, how would you prioritise the importance of each one of those in a category? What's more important, your physical health, then your mental health, then your spiritual health? Which one's first? Put those in a priority.
Physical kind of leads into mental, though, doesn't it? Because if you're physically fit, you're feeling good. Like your body's releasing the right endorphins, and you're just naturally feeling good.
I've seen some pretty happy fat people.
Yeah.
They're not happy for long.
Well, yeah. Thanks, Wayno. I did smile a bit. Yeah.
That's because she was smiling at me.
Sitting there across the table from Buddha. Yeah.
You're the happiest guy I know, Wayno.
Never underestimate the power of the cuddliness. So.
But put those in a priority. What is more important? You look at the makeup of men. You've got your physical, your mental, and your spiritual. Those three things make us as men. Put those in a priority. And then, outside of that, what does it mean to have that as a priority, and what does that look like? What would you put first out of those three?
Spiritual, I guess. That's where I'll start. And then physical.
Then physical and then mental.
Yep. I'm not a big, feelings kind of a guy. Like anyone who knows me would say, I'm not the guy that's going to get real deep and meaningful and, the woe is me. I don't really have a great deal of time for it. So that would be bottom of the list for me.
Chrisso, priorities. Which one first? Physical, mental, or spiritual?
Oh, it's physical for me. Yeah, I need to feel good, look good, and if I feel good and look good, I'm mentally I'm good.
And the spiritual one we're working on, aren't we?
It's a spiritual one. I'm a spiritual animal of a different kind than what you're thinking about.
Wayne's 10-year plan.
We're up to 13-year plan now, 12-year plan. Jamie, what does it look like for you? What are your priorities in those?
Mindset first.
So mental health, the first one.
Yeah. So, but it's not even mental health. It's just like being able to control your mindset. Like, what am I thinking about? Because I think, I think I brought that up the other day. Like, the way I see it is that what you think determines how you feel determines your attitude determines your actions, and your actions determine your results. So if I can control that mindset where I'm like, I am getting up tomorrow at 4:00 in the morning to go to the gym. Like, you know what I mean? I am going to actually block out this time set so I can I can do my planner and my and journaling and that sort of stuff. I am going to come every Friday to the podcast to be able to help men. Then, so if I've got my mind right, because we always have that sort of the devil and the angel on your shoulder, don't you? Where it's like, oh, you could miss this one time, and you've got the angel going, no, you made this promise to yourself. So if your mindset is able to, where you're like, my mind, I'm in control of this body, not the other way around. Not how I feel determines. It's I'm in control. What I want to do is what I'm going to do. And I'm not saying that happens all the time. Like, that is a massive battle, but the more you do it, the easier it gets. So I'd say mindset, physical, spiritual.
I mean, the mindset thing just it's an automatic thing for me, because the mindset that I get from the exercise, or making sure that my needs are met in the morning. Once I know that I haven't let myself down, that I've done that I've hit my routine, I know I've done that part of my day, I'm happy, I'm good to go. So my mindset's in the right place straight away.
Mm. And do you ever find if you miss it, it sort of
I'm annoyed.
Ruins your whole day?
I'm annoyed.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I think for me, spiritual would be the first one, and then it would be mental, and then it would be physical. But in saying that, it's just made me realise that every single one of us here on the panel now said all four of them in 4 different orders. For me, spiritual, mental, physical. You were spiritual, physical, mental. So our last two were swapped. You were mental,
physical,
then spiritual, and you were physical, mental. All four of us had all 4 different ways.
I took the word mental in a completely different context. But, okay, here's a question, right? Clearly, people around the table here, we're all mentally tough, right? even the guys that don't put themselves first, you've been basically dragging on for 40 plus years. How do you change that?
Keeping the promises. That's what I think. I think because what happens is that, and as you said, you're pissed off, and you're probably pissed off at yourself.
Yeah.
Right? So the more pissed off you are at yourself, the less self-worth or the worse you see yourself. And then it becomes okay for you not to do those things for yourself. Do you know what I mean? But the more time you keep those promises to yourself, yeah, the more your self-worth grows, the more confidence you get from it.
That's really good, mate.
Yeah, the more you actually, and the more you'll problem solve to go. So you'll start moving the other stuff to suit you, so you don't miss out on you. So yeah.
So in doing the things that we've mentioned, how would you distinguish between all those things we talk about, we're creating disciplines on sticking with routines, but also, you know, commitments in doing them, right? How do you distinguish between when you have put yourself first in areas compared to it being selfish? How do you distinguish between the two?
I think if you know that you're letting someone down or you're letting your family down, but you do it anyway, and do that consistently, and it's an ongoing thing, I think that's getting borderline selfish. If it's just for you, you're doing it just for you, and you know that there's people relying on you, and you know you're putting yourself first before others in that sort of sense. I think that's the selfish, when selfishness starts coming into it. Yeah.
That's a really good thought, but I hadn't thought of that. That's actually really good. That's a good indicator. A good indicator where you could ask yourself that question on, is this me being selfish or is this me giving myself a priority? That's a good way of looking at it.
The intent behind it.
Yeah, the intention. Asking yourself, why do you think men do struggle with it though? Why do we struggle with prioritising it? What's the general consensus?
I reckon it's because we see ourselves as strong enough to handle it. She'll be right, mate. Like that's the saying. We all, she'll be right. You know what I mean? But you hurt yourself.
But most of the time you are, hey?
Yeah.
Like we're sitting here going, I'm like, I could keep going the way I'm going. Is it the best way forward? Probably not, but I could keep going. And I dare say you would be the same way. We could turn around in 20 years' time, change nothing, and still be here doing what we do.
And still be good blokes as well.
Yeah, and I think that's probably some of the difficult thing is you could keep going the way you're going, change nothing, and you'd be okay. The flip side is obviously if we did change something, it would be better, I guess.
Because there is a stigma to it. There's a stigma of it's seen as a weakness. I wonder if that's a throw-off for most guys because of the stigma that it comes with it. Because we do tell ourselves that we can handle it. I have this conversation with my boys all the time, like you're having a conversation or you're setting a goal, you're doing something with them, they go, it's just so hard. And I go, yeah, but we do hard. We're men, we do hard. Hard's there, but we do hard. It's what we do. And I think sometimes maybe, is that one of the causes then of going, well, we just put up with hard things too often that we don't prioritise ourselves because I can handle this. I'm tough. I'm strong.
But could that be a mindset change though, where you're like, it is hard to put yourself first?
Yeah.
But because we're also told that you learn the most about yourself in the hard times. So
absolutely.
Yeah, but what's harder, putting things off and putting yourself away, or making it work?
That just doesn't mean it has to always be hard, though.
Oh yeah, true. Yeah.
Like let's not make it hard all the time. Like, yes, we can
Good point,
handle
mate.
hardness, and we want to be hard. We want to be hard men, and like that feels great. But we do, you still got to have that little bit of leeway and give yourself a bit of a self-love, a bit of a tap on the back, and give yourself a little, a little
the salmon
treat.
shirt in the cupboard.
That's it. I got one. Right?
It's called salmon.
Well, actually, that makes me think of something because you said to me, Wayne, a little while ago when I was like, I'm having a really hard time with this. And you were like, in 3 months, you can turn things around. So, and that was on a relationship sort of side of things. And when I used to train people in sales, I used to say, people don't know what they're doing until 3 months in. Like, do you know what I mean? I'm a big believer that in 3 months you can change your life. 3 months of good, healthy habits could actually set you up to continue that. So you're exactly right. It doesn't have to be hard. It's not forever. It's just changing those.
I think you're bang on.
Yeah.
Because they say when it's starting a new habit, it's 3 weeks to start a habit, but 3 months to see the full effect of a habit change.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing. Like going back to diets, every time I've gone on a diet, it's always 3 months. Oh, I do this 12-week thing. You do because you create the new habit within 3 weeks, but then you see the full effect of it in 3 months, or you see the ad effect of it. Interesting.
Now I feel like I've got to join the gym.
I tell you, it makes such a difference. Like, I was so overweight 3 years ago. Like, it was ridiculous. And I'm still, like, not even close to where I should be. But if you're not happy with where you're at, that would be, like, my number one thing. Just go to the gym. You know what I mean? Just go for a walk for an hour every day. Like, yeah.
Walking's a great tool as well. Like, I've had a few injuries over the years and I've had to, restrain myself from going to the gym. There was a few months there where I just got up at 4. I still had to stick to my routine. It was like, at that 4 o'clock, I have to get up. I wake up anyway because I'm so used to it. But I'd just go for a walk for an hour and just think. I didn't even have music on or anything. I'd just walk and then I'd think about work for the day, what I wanted to achieve that day. And it was just that hour of silence, still dark, walking in, pitch black, back at Maroochydore or Sunshine Cove in those, the footpaths through the forest there, just thinking about what I got to do or just thinking. And, that tool is a great tool as well. It doesn't have to be hard exercise. You don't have to be going to the gym, lifting weights, doing all that stuff. Like, just that hour to yourself where you're just walking, you're getting exercise, you're getting some, the endorphins are flowing through and you're preparing yourself for the day mentally and physically. And that's an easy thing to do. Anyone can do that. And you can just do that routinely every day and see how it works out for you.
It comes down to when I was prepping to put this together, looking at boundaries, right? Because when you can set boundaries, let's just say it's in a relationship, you start to put yourself first, or learning how to put yourself first, or what it looks like to put yourself first in a relationship. Again, because, I carry the role of husband and father just in my home. So learning to set those boundaries to say, okay, this being my time, this is where I block out for me. And when you set those boundaries, I was looking at this story this week about they did this test on these kids, right? They took these kids to this open field. I think they would have been probably about 7 years old or whatever. Took all these kids to this field, dropped them off in a bus, and they watched what these kids did. And these kids stayed, so the teacher got out or the adult got out, and these kids ran and they just formed like this little huddle, and they just stayed in this huddle and, not knowing what's going on, all that stuff. And they stayed there for about an hour, and the kids only kind of went to about, 6 to 8 meters away from where the adult was, and they stayed there, right? They took them away, and they came back however long it was later. Same bunch of kids, same adult, went back to the same field, but this time on the field, they had like these temporary fencing set up, and it created this massive big like square or big circle that was about 30 meters round. Kids got off the bus and they instantly ran to the perimeter, and they were hanging on the fences and playing within that whole circumference that was created, right? And the test of it was the effect it plays in your mind when clear boundaries are set, because when there's no boundaries set, no one knows what they can or can't do. No one knows where they can push, what the extent of where they can do and what they can say or whatever. But the moment a boundary was set, these kids saw the fence and they knew, right, that's the boundary, that's the extent, boom, they were off. And they stayed within it, but they went to its extent. And I look at that and say, let's just use the example in a relationship, for example. When there are no clear boundaries set of this is my time for me, this is what I do, and that's not discussed, or there's no, like I know with Lisa that 3 times a week she goes to Pilates at 9 or 10. And it happens quite often because we run a business together where I'll be at work and I'll be doing something and I'll ring and she won't answer. And part of me goes, oh, I hate when she doesn't answer. And I'll look at the time and it'll be 10 past 9. And I'll go, oh, she's in Pilates. And I'll know not even to ring back until 10:15 because that boundary was made clear that this is her time and she blocks it out, this is what she does. And because that's made clear, there's this automatic respect of there's a boundary set, this is my time, this is a priority I'm giving me, and it's been made clear. So how do you within a relationship, let's just play the relationship game for a minute, how do you within a relationship, one, introduce a boundary as a man? How do you go back to your partner and go, listen, I'm going to start giving myself time out on whatever and set these boundaries? What does that look like and how do you do it?
I immediately just thought of the ad on TV for the Woman Whisperer.
Haven't seen it.
You haven't seen it? Oh, Dave just feels he needs some time alone to rest and rejuvenate and come back as a better husband.
I thought you were talking about where they're sitting in therapy and he's like, oh, I just don't feel like he knows my needs and he doesn't listen to me and it just makes me, really question my self-worth. And then she turns to him and goes, so Dave, it's like when you're on a par 4 and you nail the drive. Yep. And then you're thinking to yourself you could have a birdie. And then your second shot goes into the water. And then the other shot goes into the sand. And now your birdie is turned into a bogey. And he's like, no, babe. Is that how you feel?
He totally understands.
Yeah.
Well, if you're a guy and the stuff we're talking about right here now is made in effect and you want to go away going, I want to introduce and implement boundaries, how would you bring that up to your partner?
It'd be as simple as a conversation around, okay, what are my responsibilities in this family or in this relationship? Okay, let's set those timeframes out when I'm required or I'm needed or I need to deliver on something, and then figure out what spaces you have left, and then go, okay, well that time frame between this time is my time, and that's for me, and that's all there is. It doesn't need to be too complicated.
I think if you start with why, with the intent, which would be, hey, I want to get fit and healthy, so I can be here long term for the family, is that cool? And you'd be like, cool. So I need an hour 3 times a week. When can that work? Like you were saying, and then you work it out from there. Like,
what if it gets challenged? What if it comes back challenged? What if your partner says, oh, but I could really do with you around the house, and Saturdays is our garden day, and what happens when it gets challenged?
Okay, so if Saturdays are out, then cool. But if it is something like it has to be on that day, well, then it's just a part of negotiation, isn't it? Where you're like, oh, what if I do the gardening on Friday afternoon instead? Or what if I do it on Sunday afternoon instead of Saturday? Does it have to be Saturday? Because for instance, I love the UFC, right? So Sunday is, so we'll go to church on Sunday, but if there's a big UFC on, then I'm not going to church. So because that's our agreement.
Is that why the spiritual side of you was the last priority?
Probably. But it's like, but that's the thing. So that's sort of the negotiation where it's like, okay, I'll miss out because there is fights nearly every single weekend. But if there is a big event that I want to watch, then that's the negotiation where it's like, okay, I'm not going this weekend. So I think that if you're willing to work, I think it's when you put in ultimatums that is where trouble really starts to, when you're like, oh, what, you don't love me, you don't want me to be fit, you don't love me enough to, when you say stuff like that, it's just, I think your partner most of the time wants the best for you. It's probably just how we bring it across. So
I think if the time that you, or whatever you're trying to negotiate with your partner, if it's going to bring a positive outcome for you or the family, I don't think there's going to be too much pushback. But if you're trying to arrange a weekly piss up with the boys, that's not going to be any beneficial. Not going to be beneficial to the family or her or anyone. And the negotiations are going to be hard, aren't they?
Going to start with myself first. I'm going to the pub 3 days a week.
Well, is that not where most guys would take it though? Well, traditionally,
you know what? Though, I did think about that before I actually said it. I think that's an indication of not a guy putting himself first. That's an indication of a guy needing time out. And I think there's a difference between getting time out and prioritising time for yourself. Because a lot of men use time out as an escape. And they do it when they're tired. It's not planned. They get to a point of exhaustion or a point of, okay, I need to, and then they'll go do that. Compared to locking something in, which might not necessarily be a bad thing. I mean, when we have our AJ's groups, ours is at a tavern. And so it's something that I lock in every week that we go there, and it is locked in. It's not to try and escape. It's not to try and get rest. It is a locked in. Actually, you know, now that I'm saying that, I didn't even think of that at the start of this, and it's going to sound so bad that I was the one not to think of this. But going to an AJ's meetup every week is actually me prioritising myself. That's a part of my week where I'm going.
There you go.
I'm giving myself that time.
So you managed to talk Lisa into going to the pub once a week with the boys. So let's explain how you did that one.
Anyone needing an excuse to go to the pub every week?
Putting yourself first, check.
But you know what though, it is interesting because I had this conversation with someone last week about the starting of AJ's and what it's done and all this kind of stuff. And I say, you know what, it could bring itself all the way back to just one meetup. Every door could close on every meetup that we had, and it could come back to just one. And personally, I would still be okay with it because I approach AJ, the meetup every week, I approach it with a selfish attitude because I'm actually going there for me. Although I go and I give so much because, writing the topics and presenting all that kind of stuff, but I'm going with the intent to get out of exactly what we do here on this panel. I'm putting forward a topic that I'm no expert in. I'm putting forward a topic to say, gents, I consider you guys close friends of mine. Here's a topic that I'm putting my hand up first to say, happy to learn, teach me some things on here so that I can take out of this and take it back to my own life and go, right, these are some things I'm going to change. These are some things I'm going to implement. These are the things I'm going to start doing. And so going to that meetup every week, I look forward to it so much for me. I look forward to it going, I'll drive past the tavern on a Monday and go, I can't wait to get there tonight. Can't wait. It's going to be good. See the lads and get out of it something for me. So thinking about it is actually, that is an indicator of me putting myself first.
Yep.
Why didn't I think of that at first?
Yeah. And I think sometimes, the guys who do go out and run amok, sometimes because they just can't take it anymore. So it's like their way, and it's a silly way for putting themselves first. But they're like, you've probably been there where you're like, oh, I've been working my ass off. I've been doing everything right. I deserve this night out sort of thing. But it's not, as you were saying, not good for the family to do that.
Yeah.
So sometimes you make a bad decision because you haven't been putting yourself first for such a long time.
And I guess the after effect of doing that too, it's not just the 4 or 5 hours that you're at the pub. It's the 3 or 4 hours the next day where you're in bed or you're lounging around, not mowing the lawn or whatever. It's a flow-on effect from there. So it's not just
and your wife's not happy with it.
It's a 24-hour me time, isn't it?
Yeah.
You look at how, let's just take our careers then, for example, right? And you look at high pressure roles, high stressful careers, things like that. Do you think that the higher the stress level, okay, for example, Chris, I'll take you for example, or even Mikie, because you've started a business in the last 18 months. Chris, that's been the last couple of years where you've gone from being high up in a business to then starting your own business. So the stresses and the pressures that come with now your new role more so are financial, because prior they weren't financial. You were working for somebody, but now every decision you make financially affects you. Same with you, Mike. So when the role that we play has increased pressure, increased risk, increased stresses, do you think that requires more attention to prioritising yourself with self-care?
Discover multi-award-winning real estate with podcast sponsor One Life Property Group, based on the Sunshine Coast, Queensland, specialising in everything from high-end duplexes to multi-residential developments, ensuring the highest quality workmanship. Visit onelifepropertygroup.com.au today to achieve excellence in your next property development.
It's a tough one, hey, because I'm thinking about my situation where Wednesdays I put in the diary to go to the gun range, and I go, nah, work pressure comes up, there's a job, it's building a client relationship, it's money in the bank. It's getting further along that line to the financial stability of the family. So to the end result being the nicer house, whatever it is. So I go, well, that's for me, for my family, that I'll enjoy that too. So I'm in my head prioritising, going, I've done the right thing.
Yeah, but you've taken on a new role these last 18 months, which has more stress and more pressure. So in now having that role where stresses and pressures are a lot more, does that require more of you to give more attention to yourself? So shouldn't you now be giving more time to you?
It should do, yeah. When you say it like that, Wayne.
Pip asked me, she just texted me, said, can you tell him like this?
Yeah. You even said it with her tone as well. Yeah.
Just didn't have the swearing.
Yeah. You didn't call me boy at the end, yeah.
Chrisso, thoughts? Your pressure's increased a hell of a lot lately.
Yeah, I guess the pressure to deliver has, we've got a great business and we've got a great team, so that helps a lot. We started One Life for a reason, because we called it One Life for a reason, because we wanted a lifestyle, and we wanted to do something that we loved, and I'm very lucky that I can work in my business and actually feel pretty stress free, simply because I've got a great team, and I have the freedom to have spare time to myself and do the things that I like to do. So I feel like I'm probably less stressed, to be honest.
Okay, that then brings up a whole different question. So then, because stresses have dropped, do you prioritise yourself less or more?
I've got more time, more flexibility, which, it gives me more opportunity to do more for others and more for my family, which I do sometimes, and sometimes I use that time for myself. But yeah, I'm on a 50-50 sort of arrangement with my kids, so I get a week where 1 week's hectic, I'm picking kids up, I'm doing footy training, I'm doing all this stuff, and then the next week it all stops for a week, So in my circumstance, I have a sort of a week where I get so much free time to myself anyway. So like when I come into that busy week, I'm ready to go. I'm refreshed.
So, Chris, how does your decision making change from the week when you're on with the kids and the week where you're not?
It's definitely a lot more busier, and my partner works away a lot too, and so it's generally just me and the boys at home. So it's kind of strange.
You still kind of keep that prioritising yourself first and doing the same.
I have a routine, whether it's week on or week off. Like that,
Yep.
Like I said, that 4 a.m. start for me that's week in, week out, 52 weeks a year.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, it's the goose and the golden egg, isn't it, really? Like, I would say that both you and I, Wayne, are probably sacrificing the goose a little bit.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. Geez, this is a confronting topic, guys.
Yeah, I wasn't.
I'm not looking forward to the fallout from this.
Are you a morning person?
Oh, yeah, I'm up at 4 a.m.
What are you doing at 4 a.m.?
Waiting for everyone to get up. Coffee.
Right. Sending me stupid, funny videos.
Yeah, I'm sending
Are you using
really
that
inappropriate.
time?
Yeah.
Ask yourself the question, are you using that time the right way?
100% no.
And
I think therein lies your problem.
Yeah.
One,
Yep.
you didn't know what you needed, and two, I think you were misusing your time, the opportunities that you've got. I reckon there's opportunities there for you. You're not using it wisely.
Yeah, Mike, come on, man.
Do you set this whole topic up just to give me a flogging, Wayne?
No, but because I totally agree with Chris, and even though I'm in the same category as you, so I'm getting spoken to more than And I think on that though, I think this is where priority comes into it. Is that I'm awake most times in the mornings too. I'm either awake between 3 or just before 4.
I know you are, because ding, phone goes off, some stupid reel in my phone. And you know I'm awake anyway.
That's
And
why
you're like, I'm trying to work out, man. Leave me alone.
I'm at the gym, mate. Oh yeah, me too.
Yeah.
No, but here's the thing. Like that again is reactive to spare time, not creating it as a priority, as a locked-in time, which makes me realise here I am saying I'm awake at 4 a.m. every morning, because I am. So instead of going, oh, I'm awake at 4 a.m., I might as well go to the gym, it should actually become now a thing where I make it a priority, or I go, well, I'm awake. How about 4:30 is the time I lock in? Because that's the difference. We respond out of reaction. And you look at, we react to spare time, but that's not prioritising ourselves. That's just reacting to spare time that we have, compared to locking in a set time to go, this is time for me.
Well, there's a book out there called Eat the Frog First, I think it was. And anyway, the concept of it is do the hard thing first, because that's when you're most motivated. So, and I think like we're using health as an example there, where you get up and you just go to the gym. It makes it easier, because that's out of the way and then it's done. So, but it might be something that you're going to do for yourself that's going to make the biggest difference. So I think what you were saying is that the best utilization of the time? Because it doesn't have to be health. It can be something else that is going to make your life better. So, but just getting up and doing it, then it's done. So
Yeah. Well, look, I recognise that when I wake up at 4 o'clock and I'll sit there and go, hey, great, couple of hours to myself. I'll chill, relax before it's game time. Kids ready for school, get out, work, everything else. So just switching that mindset to go instead of going, I'll just chill, actually working on improving yourself.
Well, there's a concept called horseman's colliery, which means that whatever time frame that you have, and you'd know this as a boss, whatever time frame you set to the guys, they'll expand the job out for it to fit that time. Yeah. And if you use you getting up and ready in the morning as an example, it might take people half an hour to get ready, right? But how many times have you slept or not set your alarm properly and you have to be at work in 10, 15 minutes? How long does it take you to get ready then? Yeah,
You're exactly right.
So there is I forget the name of it, but there is an opposite concept where you'll actually fit the time frame to fit the task, where it'll shrink towards that. So, or if you know you got to be somewhere for a flight, like, man, you're pumping and everything's set, like, and you're getting it done. So,
And I've got to stop telling people I need this done, but I just want it done by the end of the week.
yeah,
But don't give them time frames. Now that I think of it,
You got 15
it's a
minutes.
thing,
Go.
isn't it?
It is true.
is.
Like if you've missed your alarm in the morning and you wake up and you go, oh no, I've only got 5 minutes to get ready for work, you'll get ready in 5 minutes.
yeah.
So then why do you give yourself an hour and you use the whole hour normally? But because of that one time you can get done in 5 minutes. I remember when Steve Jobs first came up with the idea of the iPhone, and he put forward the idea, I needed to do this, I needed to respond like this, boom, boom, boom. And they came back with this design which was about half the size of what we know as an iPad now. And he came back to him and said, no, it needs to be this big, and showed him the size of the first iPhone. And they said,
Did he say, what is this? A phone for giants?
well, but it ties in with this, right? Because I go, when he made him, he said, no, it actually needs to fit this. Their response was, it can't. And it's like, well, if it can't fit in this, it doesn't actually fit what we've told people. So he went out and he announced what the iPhone was going to look like and the size of it. Then came back, because I think, was it Thomas Edison that did that with the telephone? Came out and announced, I've created this invention that allows this, to then put himself in the mindset to go, crap, now I actually need to go and do it, right? But Steve Jobs did it with the phone. They came back and they said, it won't fit. And he said, well, I've announced it that this is how big it is, so you need to. They've now gone back, they've made it and made it work. And now, I don't know if you've seen the iPhone 16 that's about to come out. It's called iPhone Thin or something, and it's the actual thickness. So it's like, looks like you're holding like a bit of cardboard, and it's an iPhone. So you go, you tell yourself it can't be done until it's actually done. And then you go, okay, now I know it can be done in that. Now I can do it even again. Going back to the whole thing, you sleep through your alarm, you then realise you can get it done in 5 minutes, right? So then that makes you realise then as men, when you go, oh, I'd love to be able to put myself first, but I just can't. Yeah, but what if you do it once and you realise you can? Once you realise you can, then it's more and more possible after that. You've just realised that you can. Honestly, I'm preaching to myself here. You're going to hold me accountable to go back and make so many changes. You at the gym, mate? Yeah, I promise I am.
Or is it the accountability buddy?
Well, that sticks up for you. Oh, yeah, I saw him at the gym.
Yeah. Everyone needs to find a mate called Jim.
Yeah.
Well, what are the? I guess that raises a question. What are the indicators that makes you realise you need to start looking after yourself? Is it tiredness, exhaustion? What is it? What are the indicators that make you go, you know what, I actually need to start putting myself first?
I'm going to say deep down, you know.
I think so what if you went back to the three things that make up a man? The physical, the mental, the spiritual. You look at those three things. What are the indicators within each one of those that makes you go, I need to start giving priority to that?
Well, the physical one would be easy, wouldn't it? You're getting the aches and the pains. And like for me, I know if I have a couple of days off, my back goes bad. If I've done nothing for 2 days, get a sore back straight away. You would notice that surely within yourself, like you boys, when you don't go to the gym, you feel different in yourself.
It's interesting to say that because I did and this goes back to the stigma, I think, as to why a lot of men don't prioritise themselves. Because I'm the oldest on this panel. I am 40.
We didn't want to say it, but yeah.
I'm 45 in a month. Under a month, actually. Can't believe it. Anyway.
You don't look at Wayne.
Thanks, buddy.
There you go.
You know, actually, I give my hair a quick trim this morning. I'm realising how bald I'm getting on this back. I'm getting like that round circle. Looking like a Jew. Like, you know, the little round, what do I call that? Skin-coloured Jew, little helmet thing.
That's all right. You're not at Mikey's stage yet, so it's good.
Yeah, it could be worse, hey?
Yeah, it could be worse. Could have a mic going.
I used to tease my dad about going grey, and then he'd look at me, now I'm getting grey in the beard, and bald and grey.
I get this one grey hair come out of the side of this beard that I'm trying to grow, and it doesn't even carry pain. It just pulls out nice and quick. I forgot where I was going with what I was saying. What was I talking about?
Gone.
Totally
Balding.
threw me. Oh, no, sorry, the aches and pains. I'm 44 years old. I'm noticing now my mobility is getting harder, right? Parts of my body are stiffer, the flexibility is gone. And so to improve that, I started getting up in the mornings because my middle son and I were doing gym sessions in the mornings. So instead of doing the workout, I started to get my iPad and I was doing yoga classes on my iPad, right?
That would have been a very interesting
Is that what those
sight to
pads
see.
were for?
But this is the thing, exactly. You've actually responded the exact way as to why I went, I'm not doing this anymore. Because my son's working out. He's like, Dad, are you serious? And I'm doing like the downward dog. What do they call it? The
downward dog.
I'm doing this pose. I'm thinking, stuff.
Did you have the yoga pants?
That's got a camel toe.
That's an elephant toe, that one.
Yeah.
But it's because, so here I was prioritising myself, giving myself self-care, but it carried the stigma of my own son going, Dad, seriously, look what you're doing. Like it's, and so I stopped. And I think this is why a lot of men don't give themselves attention, because it carries with them a stigma of any type of self-care. Doesn't matter, mate. You got a sore back, push through it. You're losing mobility, push through it. You're all stiff and sore now, push through it. And we don't. I think that's why we don't.
Well, I only just started. I copped a bit of flack about. I've been starting to use a bit of cleanser and like facial products and stuff. Not Botox or anything like that, but like moisturisers, serums, stuff like that. Because my wife got me onto it. She's like, you need to start looking after your face. You know, like there's nothing wrong with it. Yeah, cool, whatever. It's fine. And then I found out how much
Wayne's
it fucking
holding back.
costs.
Look at it, he wants to say it.
But anyway, so I've started using that, and I actually really like it because it I've got a routine now. I get up in the morning, I wash my face in the shower not with soap, with proper cleanser. You know, squirt a bit of this on, put a bit of that on. Skin looks good, but there's a stigma against it, right?
It is, because I'm literally
mates call
biting
me
my tongue on what I say, but you're exactly right.
They call me a poofter or whatever. You know, like they're like, what? I'm like, mate, I'm 43. I'm not getting any younger. What's wrong with looking after your face? You know,
But you know
I've
what's
got to run
funny?
a business. I got to look good.
And you're glowing.
I'm glowing. See, even with the lighting, like you know. And look, I don't care, to be honest. It doesn't bother me.
But see, my wife tells me to do that. Does Lisa tell you that you should take more care with that? Like with moisturisers and all that?
She bought me this weird smelling soap, and she actually questioned me about it the other day because she goes, "Oh, I don't ever smell it on you." It's because don't use it. That's why you don't smell it on me. But same thing. She bought me some organic, citrusy block square thing that I'm supposed to rub over my body or something or other. And I'm like, yeah, I'll get around to that.
This is your wife trying to encourage you.
Yes, this is what I'm saying.
To put yourself first.
I know.
Put yourself first, right?
Yeah. This is the point I'm
And
literally
we throw
trying
it
to
back
make
in
from
their
this
face,
topic.
going, I don't need that stuff. It's like, well,
Mate.
you kind of do.
Yeah. This is the point I'm trying to make and what I want us to talk about today. This was the whole point.
So
Because-
I've made live that I use face products to the world now for the better of good.
Yeah.
There
But
you go.
isn't it funny though?
This is going to get some comments, isn't it?
Raise some of the eyebrows.
Isn't it funny though that most men's like complexion is better than a lot of women's out there? Like, do you know what I mean? Without the makeup and all that sort of stuff, and we don't do anything to our faces.
It's true.
Yeah,
Look, don't tell them that.
too late.
Yeah, I am thinking about how would it go if we encourage them to do more. Might not be taken in the same spirit, hey?
Which comes down to when you just go on what we just said then about self-support. In reality, we should be supporting each other when someone comes up with something that's self-care, but we don't. Do you think that's cultural, or do you think that's what's the word? Like, do you think it's just because we are men, or do you think there's an Australian attachment to that, or what?
Well, but you kind of grow up going, if you tease someone, it's because you like them, you're comfortable with them. You're not doing it because you dislike them. It's a mate thing. Like, you'd only tease a mate. You wouldn't walk up to a guy in the street and be like, oh, face cream puffed her.
Makes you think though. Like
Maybe you would.
Is that my new name now?
Face cream puffed.
Great.
Face cream. Facial.
Oh, shit.
it does make you think though. What is the expense of a joke? Because I think we do it for a laugh. You know what I mean? Like, we do it for a laugh, but that might actually put someone.
Lucky
We
I got a
lost the
thick
boys.
skin and I don't give a fuck, to be honest.
And look, the two mentally weak ones out of the crew are laughing still.
But that's true.
Right.
This is the point I'm actually trying to make. There is a stigma that comes with it that you can't even get support from your mates.
Yeah.
And this is really the problem as to why men don't give themselves any kind of priority. Because
Like drinking watermelon cruises, you know?
Mate,
That was incredible.
that was bad.
What I've done, I've got 20 questions here. And I want to ask you these questions, but also for the guys listening to ask yourself these questions. They're simple yes or no answers. Answering yes or no, I think other than two, you should be saying yes to, but I'll leave that up to you. But I've got these 20 questions I want you to ask us. I'll ask them, and you ask yourself these questions. And it's going to expose a lot as to how much of your life is prioritized to yourself compared to not only just prioritizing others first, but just going about everyday life without even putting any focus on you. Ask these questions and answer them to yourself. Actually, you know what? Let's across the panel, let's answer them out verbally so we can hear them.
All at once or one at a time?
I think we need to hear these questions first, Wayne, before we commit to that.
Question number one. Am I prioritizing regular exercise, a balanced diet, and sufficient sleep?
Nope.
Yep.
2 out of 3.
I'm a no to that. Do I take time each day to process my emotions and decompress?
No.
Sometimes.
Yeah. Not every day.
Yeah, I think I'm a no to that one. I'm a borderline no, but I'm going to say no. Am I setting boundaries to protect my mental space for unnecessary stress or negativity?
Depends on who it is. So some people are more. I probably should set more boundaries too. You know.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that one. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I couldn't honestly say yes or no on that one. Bit of both, I reckon.
I think I'm starting to. I'm definitely starting to set those boundaries, but because even from what you're saying too this morning, Chris, at the start, sorry, about me being a yes man, I put my hand up. I know I'm a yes man. I know I don't have many boundaries, but I'm finding myself borderline setting boundaries. So I'm going to say no, but moving towards a yes. Do I regularly evaluate my goals and progress, adjusting my actions accordingly?
Yes.
Yes.
Not as much as I should do.
I'm going to say yes on that one. Am I allocating time each day for activities that make me happy and feel energized?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would say yes, but borderline no, but I think yes. Where are we? When faced with decisions, do I consider my needs and desires first?
Nope.
No, I don't think I do either.
In a business, put me for my business hat on. Yes, I do a lot of decision making based on what's best for me in that regard. In my life, I think I do sometimes, but I do often think that I need to consider others as well.
I think having that one thing that you do for yourself means that at least you're not totally, you know what I mean? As you said with the gym, you've got that done, so it's easier to do things for other people. So that's why I would say no, but I've got that, you know?
I think I do genuinely put myself first when I make decisions about things. Like I actually do. I am a little bit selfish in that regard, but I am conscious that I need to make sure that others' needs are met as well. But yeah, I do put myself first a lot. In my previous relationship, Melissa thought I was selfish.
That's an interesting.
And I've worked on that since, to be honest.
In regards to drawing back on it.
Yeah. It's some of the things that I, reflected on after we split up. I knew it was something that I probably could improve on, and I have, so.
Am I maintaining a healthy balance between work obligations and personal time?
Yep.
I've gotten a lot better at that.
Yep.
I would say yes, but I'm borderline. I would be very close to also a no. But it's one thing I'm working on at the moment as well. Am I investing into bettering my hobbies, skills that contribute to my growth?
That one's seasonal for me. I do have times where I'll do it, and then there's times where it's just get on with what needs to be done.
Yeah. I would say yes, but it's just because of audiobooks. Like I just, listen to them and get stuff from it. That's it.
It comes in waves for me, I think.
I'm a definite yes on that one. I love investing into books and stuff like that to always better myself in. Yeah, I would say yes. Do I have clear boundaries in place to protect my time, energy, and peace of mind?
100% no.
Yeah, I'm not a big boundary guy. I don't set boundaries. I'm a bit of a free-for-all.
Well, if a boundary is saying no to things, then yeah.
I'm a no. I don't have clear boundaries in place. Are my relationships supportive and fulfilling?
Yes.
Which way? Supporting you or you supporting them?
I would say in this supportive of you.
Some are.
Are the relationships
are.
around you supporting and fulfilling? Do you feel that way?
I'd say most of them are, yep.
Definitely.
Do I have effective strategies in place to manage stress and avoid a burnout?
No.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
It's a cigar and whiskey effective strategy.
That's a good point. So you've got effective strategies in place to manage. What are they? What's an effective strategy you have in place to
Go on regular holidays. That's a good one. Have a break.
I think prioritizing the things that are important to me and just making sure that they happen. So, and if there is stress, that looking at it from a logical point of view rather than an emotional point of view. So actually, what one of the best things is actually just writing it down and then problem solving. So I write it down, look at the options, and then I work out a solution.
You spoke about that way, writing a letter to yourself with the problems and then opening that letter and then writing a response as if you were writing it to a mate. Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. You will find in response to that, you will find, and I found this, I learnt this years and years ago, that, yeah, if you're going through whatever it is that you are going through, write it out fully in detail in a letter to someone, being you, so you're addressing it to yourself, writing it out, asking for help in this, what do you suggest, what do you think I should do, all that kind of stuff, putting it in an envelope, putting it in your own mailbox, and then going back to your mailbox, pulling it out, opening it, addressed to you, and responding to it. And you'll find absolutely responses to stuff that you wouldn't even thought you would have had answers to, but they're right there that you have. 100%. Number 12. Do people consider me a yes man?
It's confronting, that one, isn't it? I'm going to say yes.
People consider you a yes man?
I'd say so.
I
This topic, yeah.
don't think so.
I would think people would say that they think I'm a yes man.
I don't think anyone would consider me a yes man at all. Am I making financial decisions that secure my future?
Most of the time now, yes. That's something I've been working on this last year. Yep.
Every day I'm hustling.
Getting better. That's probably my weakest point, is dealing with the finance stuff. Yeah.
I'd be a yes on that one. Do I regularly engage in activities that nourish my spirit, such as meditation, prayer, or spiritual activities?
Not enough.
Never, but as I age, it interests me more.
Yeah.
Okay, let's just stay there for a minute.
That's in your
Jane,
plan.
you said no.
No, I said yeah. 100%.
Oh, you did? Oh, sorry, I thought you said no.
Yeah. I meditate nearly every morning. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm a yes on that one. Am I making time for the things that truly make me happy without guilt?
Yes.
Yep.
I think more every day.
I'm a no. I do things. I definitely make time for myself for things that make me happy, but it's never without guilt. I feel guilty every time I do it. So I'm going to say no on that one. Do I listen to my body's signals and give it rest when needed?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
I give it rest when I'm ready, but it's generally regular enough to suffice.
Yeah. I probably don't rest enough. I don't listen enough.
I'm a yes on that one. Do I say no to things that don't align with my values or drain my energy?
Yeah.
Can you say that one again?
Do I say no? Where is it? Do I say no to things that don't align with my values or drain my energy?
Yeah. Yep.
I'd say, values, aligning with the values, 100%.
Yeah.
Drain your energy, not so much.
Yeah. I'm the same. So if it's like a values-based thing, then I'm going to go no. But if it's just, it's going to make me tired, it's going to drain me, it's like, can I handle it? Yeah, I'll make it up later, sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is part of not putting yourself first.
I didn't watch the Olympics, but I will go and sit with a mother-in-law.
I definitely don't align with. I definitely say no to things that don't align with values. Drain my energy. I think I definitely allow too many things to drain my energy, but I'm learning to say no to more. So I'm going to say yes on that one, but it's also partly no. Do I believe I deserve to prioritize myself without feeling guilty?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, I think I deserve it. Do I feel guilty even thinking about making designated time for myself?
Depends on the situation, but yeah.
No.
No. But I think it's easier when it doesn't impact other people.
I was just going to say, because I'm a yes on that one. Do I feel guilty? Yes, I do. because of the impact on other people. I'll tell you what I mean by that is that I know now that my kids are growing up so fast. My oldest 21, youngest being 15. So I know that time is limited. So to think about even giving myself time, I feel guilty because of the effect I think it has on them. So that's a hard one. I know time is running out with them and I go, there's too much guilt involved to make the decision to give myself time.
But it comes back to that question. Do you want them to not put themselves first?
Exactly right. Yeah, you're bang on. Last one. Am I kind to myself when I make mistakes?
No,
Yes and no.
I beat myself up a lot.
I would say yes, but this was probably one of the things, the biggest things that I changed in my life was actually not, when things weren't perfect or you didn't do it the way that you thought it should go and you used to beat yourself up. Like that line of perfection doesn't exist, just progress. Like if you just keep progressing, that was like such a massive change in my mindset.
Interesting. I wrote this quote down. I'll finish with this quote. The dangers of not prioritising yourself is that you become over-concerned about opinions. And when you're concerned about opinions, you then criticise yourself in reference to those opinions. Then you get caught up in the turmoil that you yourself created. All because you weren't thinking of yourself first. You were too concerned about the welfare of everyone else and not yourself. What's interesting is that when things are in turmoil, the people that do give you their opinions, and it's never good. When I was watching this video this afternoon, I was putting that together. I'm thinking, it's interesting how that it's a cycle. Like when you don't prioritize yourself because you think of opinions, but then it's the opinions that don't matter anyway, because you've then tried to impress, and then that cycle begins. Oh, I'm not making sense of what I'm trying to say here, but it's in my head. But when you're not thinking of yourself first, and this is what I've found personally, when you're not thinking of yourself first, you actually become your own problem because you're the one that started the cycle of you then try to chase approvals or you try to chase opinions, or because you aren't prioritising yourself. Thinking of this afternoon and literally having this chat with you boys today, making me realise more on a personal level, without a doubt, that this is something that's impacted me more than probably any one of our other topics, is that for so long, and I know because I know that you guys know about some situations that have happened more recently with just other people, and you feel it becomes exhausting when your life becomes when your life becomes so focused on giving it away to other people. And the challenge it puts back, which I found, is it then tests me as my own character to go, okay, am I just over now helping people? Because it's so, it should feel rewarding, but sadly it can become so, not demoralising, it can become draining, but it can become, it's hard to take sometimes. And I've found that because I've put so many people first, you then get let down. And we were saying before, like you do, you feel like you just get shit on. You feel like it just... And it's interesting because it's a testing of your own character to then go, okay, well then where do I draw the line to change who it is that I am? Do I need to change who I am? Maybe there's things about me I need to change, but do I need to change me? And it's a daunting thing. Definitely makes you think.
Mate, I think you get you get a lot from helping people. So, in a way, that is kind of feeding yourself. Like when we do Thursday nights at the barbecue, the amount of weeks I'll rock up there going, I'm too tired, I can't be bothered, I'd love to just chill out with the family on the couch. But then you get energised by giving back. So there's a real mix there, hey? Like, yeah, 100% when you help someone and they shit on you or whatever it is, that's demoralising. But is that going to be everyone? Is that every time? Every time you help someone, is that the outcome?
Definitely not.
There's,
But it does make you think that. You're right.
yeah, there's three things that come up for me with that is Warren Buffett goes into 10 investments and he only expects to win on 2 of them. But the 2 that actually win make up for all the 8 that lost him money. So, and when you give to people, when you give your time, when you give your knowledge, when you give your effort, then those things that come back are actually, it's amazing when you actually find someone that aligns with the right things or actually reciprocates, where they're like, okay, I've helped you, but then they're more than willing to help back in different areas. Like, I think Chris is a classic example with that, with how much work they put into the podcast room here. Do you know what I mean? Like, so I think having that aspect where that giving back can make such a difference. And the other thing is that when I used to run seminars and stuff for people, if only 5% of those people got something out of it, then that's all that matters. Like, if you could just change that one person's life for the better, then really, because we're giving without expectation. Don't give with expectations. Just give, and then it's up to them what they do with it.
Yeah. Spot on. Well, let's close it out there, lads. We'll close off back with our original question. Permission to prioritise yourself. Permission to put yourself first. Mikey.
Yep. I think it's going to be a confronting week for you and me, mate, as we figure that one out. Hey.
Yeah, definitely a challenge. Chrisso, position. I keep saying position. Permission to put yourself first.
Mate, I've got a signed, sealed, and delivered contract to myself to put myself first, and I've done so for a long time.
Jamie.
Yes, 100%.
Being on. Well, lads, thanks for joining me today. Really, really good chat. Went deep. Was really good. I'm going away thinking a hell of a lot about what we just talked about.
Yeah,
definitely. Well, we'll close it there. Guys, we thank you for joining us here at the Men's Collective podcast. We are the Average Joes. Hit us up on our website. Find out what all the Average Joes meetups are this week. Don't forget to leave us a review. We love hearing all the positive feedback, and to the guys that have given us a review so far, I really, really enjoy reading them, so we're so grateful for those. We'll see you at AJ's this week, and jump online, see where we're at, grab some merch, and enjoy the rest of your week, lads. Fellas, thanks for joining me.
Thanks, boys.
Thanks for having us, mate. I'm feeling like we should have asked them for give us a review on your favourite face cream.
Can anyone recommend that? Like, plug-in